So what is the best general possible in EU4? After all, this is a game that historically included the likes of Napoleon, so surely his fame is enough to qualify him for the 6666 status, right? Well, indeed, he was an artillery officer by trade, earning him the 6 in fire, no questions asked there. He was also arguably quite good at that whole warfare thing, overall one could argue, and indeed Paradox gave him 6 in shock, so that in battles, he would be the best, or at least drawing. Furthermore, his superior positioning and speed of his conquests and campaigns is surely worthy of a 6 in maneuver, which indeed Paradox does also give to him. Finally, he has 6 in siege because, wait, he has 2 in siege? Really? 2 siege? Huh, well, I guess if you want 6 siege, go occupy Beijing, you filthy casual. Oh, you only occupied Europe? That's just one continent. And you still missed England. Can't even siege one place. Yeah, you get 2 siege, no more, no less. Anyway, one could claim that the 6666 general would be the best general in EU4, but they would be mistaken. And before we do get into the game, just a quick pit stop to say that a like would be appreciated, and a subscription would be amazing if you haven't already. But with all that said and done, what do I mean by getting better than a 6666 general? Well, Amber on War Wizards aside, let's load into E4 and take a look. More specifically, we can start the game as Hissing Kaifer, that's these chaps over here as part of the Eu4 Empire. There's a cool achievement tied to them, but we'll get into gameplay in a bit. Hissing Kaifer actually has a unique tier 1 reform called the Eu4 Dynasty, which basically negates the Levantine culture group debuffs of having them as unaccepted, gives you extra taxation, and also has a pretty unique minus 10% state governing cost, which is cool. Anyway, what we're actually here for is their missions. More specifically, we're going to look at Saladin's legacy. So, if you play the game for a little bit and set yourself up in a way that you're ready to pop Saladin's legacy, you will see that this event has 4 options for you. Now, we can't say that we need the spirit of Saladin to lead us now for 200 mil points and 20 army tradition. We can tell our advisors to study his tactics, which will give us 10% military advisor cost until the end of the game and minus 0.3 yearly army tradition, or say that Saladin's wisdom needs to inspire our rulers, which means we'll never be cruel or craven, which is neat, but not quite what we're looking for. No, we need to see this second option here, his legacy will guide our generals, which is going to unlock a pretty unique government reform, namely the Eu4 High Command, giving us minus 10% general cost, which would be useful, 2 land leaders in our upkeep, and 2 max general shock pips. It also means that every time we hire a general, we'll get 0.5 army tradition, which is a great way of basically getting to 100 army tradition and staying there if you're spamming generals, which, bit of a spoiler, you're probably going to be doing for this. Now, this actually doesn't give you the reform, this just unlocks the option to get him, which is neat. It also means that once you do get it, you can keep it forever. But this is going to increase our maximum general shock pips by 2. So that means that the best general is 6866, right? Well, not quite. See, as Hissing Kaifer, we can go ahead and form Egypt. And when we do, we can make sure we go ahead and select the new traditions and ambitions, getting rid of our Hissing Kaifer legacy to become Egyptian. Inside Egyptian ideas, we have some admin efficiency and some other excellent bonuses like a monthly mill point, which would be very helpful for rolling a lot of generals. But of course, we also get +1 max general fire. And that's actually it. In terms of maximum general fire and shock and maneuver and siege in vanilla EU4, this is the cap, the 7866. That is the best possible general. However, it doesn't actually mean that you can theoretically roll him, because let's take a look at rolling generals. As you can see here at 81 army tradition, when we generate a general, we're going to have between 6 and 16 pips at base. But to roll a 7866 general, we actually need a total of 27 pips to be able to just roll the thing. And this is where this game gets a bit confusing. See, according to Wikipedia, at 100 army tradition, we'll be able to get anywhere between 7 to 17 pips on our generals. However, if you go into the game and look at rolling a general, it's going to tell you have between 7 and 18 pips as base. And to be clear, that's not because we have +1 shock pip from somewhere that is not accounted for, and is accounted for by saying it's 7 to 18 because of the +1 shock pip. If we were to go ahead and grab the opening idea in offensive ideas for +1 leader shock, and then consult our general rolling, we can see that it's still 7 to 18 pips, but we're now getting +1 from bayonet leaders. Indeed, it's not from another random source. The Wikipedia and reality, as you can see here, is disagreeing. And reality has a lot of disagreement going on. In fact, it somehow gets worse. Here's another save where I was testing stuff for the run. And as you can see, according to this roll here, we get anywhere between 8 to 20 pips as base, plus all the other modifiers on top. Don't worry about those, we'll get to those in a second. So what's actually going on? What is the base roll on your pips? All of these things are done with 100 army tradition, so it's not like army tradition is impacting it. But the Paradox Wikipedia And in fact, the game itself also insists that the only thing that affect the base rolls here are your army tradition. So either it's always 7 to 17 at 100 army tradition, or it's always 7 to 18, or it's 80 to 20 sometimes. Like, I genuinely have no idea why the dice roll in this save right here is 8 to 20. How am I going to deal with this is I'm going to go and trust Wikipedia instead of trusting the game, because the game could also be lying to me, and more importantly, the Wikipedia number of 17 is the lowest. So if I can get to 27 possible pips from 17, I'm going to say that's a win, because we actually just achieve our goal, and if you end up with having an extra 3 pips here on your dice roll, that just makes your life easier. This is just a heads up though, that if you go into your game and test this yourself and the game tells you it's 8 to 20 or 7 to 18, I'm aware, I just don't know about it. Or more specifically, I don't know the reality of the situation, and I'm going to be going with a 7 to 17 figure as the floor. So with that said, we need to acquire plus 10 general pips to be able to actually roll the 27 general. They can be in any category, which is quite nice, unless we manage to get plus 6 in a specific category. However, we need to do so while making sure that we stick with Egyptian ideas, and we need to start as Hissing Kaifa to be able to obtain the specific government reform, meaning that this actually restricts us a lot in what we can and cannot do. However, what we can still do is obtain the 2 leader personalities for plus 1 land leader maneuver and plus 1 land leader shock, giving us plus 2 out of 10. Then we can go ahead, and while we are Hissing Kaifa before we form Egypt, in our optional missions, as you can see, we have 2 options for this mission tree, as it were. We can go ahead and complete the mission Sublime Alliance, which requires us to ally a nation that has the Turkish primary culture in the Anatolia region. It does not have to be the Ottomans. In fact, the Ottomans are being too much of an issue for you. Go ahead and beat them up and release someone like the Geremians, and then just ally those instead. That's fine, and this will give you plus 1 land leader shock until the end of the game, giving us 3 out of our 10 pips so far. Excellent. Finally, we need to go ahead and grab some more ideas. Well, we're going to need ideas just to unlock the plus 1 max general fire after all, and we're going to begin with offensive ideas, giving us access to both land leader shock plus 1 and land leader fire plus 1. Followed up with innovative ideas. Not only is this going to give us a free policy, because we're going to be running a lot of policies, here's a bit of a spoiler, it's also going to give us access to the modern siege weapon policy for 10% siege ability and a leader siege pip. Follow this up with defensive ideas for plus 1 land leader maneuver, and then go ahead and grab exploration. If you're doing this inside your actual game as a run, I'd recommend grabbing exploration as early as possible. The order here I'm taking them doesn't matter, but if you grab exploration early, you might actually get some use out of the thing. But we're grabbing exploration here for a policy that we'll unlock in a bit. More specifically, we're going to go ahead and grab quantity ideas, which doesn't have any leader pips, but the quantity exploration policy, hired adventurers, is going to give us plus 10% movement speed and a land leader maneuver pip, which is very cool. After this, we can go ahead and grab humanist ideas for the policy, inspirational leaders with humanist quality for plus 1 land leader shock, meaning that we're getting plus 3 so far from here, and plus 3 from defensive and offensive, giving us plus 6 in total, meaning we're missing 1 pip from our final roll, and we can acquire this pip from aristocratic ideas plus 1 land leader siege on the finisher. So if we've done all that to obtain Ibid High Command, we've got the Egyptian ideas for plus 1 max general fire, we have a bold fighter and tactical genius ruler, good luck with that, and we of course complete the previously mentioned Hissing Kaifa mission, a Sublime Alliance for plus 1 land leader shock and plus 1 dip relations. Our generals will have between 7 to 17 pips at base, although it might be 8 to 20 here, I'm not sure who to trust. And then we'll get plus 1 fire, plus 4 shock, plus 3 maneuver, leaving us in total with plus 8, and of course plus 2 in siege, giving us plus 10 pips, meaning that if we were to roll some generals, yeah, they're pretty good. We actually already rolled a 8 shock, 6 fire, and this is really close to perfect. I'm going to keep rolling these just to show how hard though it is still to actually obtain a perfect one. We're very close on this one. We've got a 7 fire, 8 shock here, but we're just missing the last siege pip. Still haven't got him. So to be clear, again, you can see my professionalism. I started at 0. You can see how painful this actually is. Still haven't rolled him. It's quite hard. I think the 8 to 20 pips is accurate because we've rolled really well. And here's a 6 siege. Wait, and there it is. I'm not sure why this one is just higher, but yep, there it is. The 7 fire, 8 shock, 6 maneuver, 6 siege general. Inal Sayufuddin, 7 fire, 8 shock, 6 maneuver, 6 siege. That is the best general in EU4. So, to be clear, if we were to trust the Wikipedia, the chance of rolling max pips and max distribution is only 0.3%. I think this number of, well, 8 to 20 pips is more accurate because we only rolled 81 generals here, which is obviously still a lot, but if we were going by the old numbers, getting here would be practically impossible. But yeah, honestly, this is just a glorified Hissing Kaifa into Egypt campaign. It's certainly doable within your runs as well, and you end up with quite a lot of military buffs, so certainly an interesting nation to run as well. So if you want to make a best general campaign, here's the campaign for you. Good luck! But with that said, that is all the time I have for you today. This video is actually part of a new series I'm doing where I'm remastering a lot of the previous modified stacking runs I've done, and indeed this is a remaster of a previous video where I was trying to guarantee +6 in every single general pip so that every time you'd recruit a general, you'd be able to get the 666 general. I thought I did something a bit more creative today and hopefully you enjoyed it, but if you have any other modified stacking videos I'd like to see remastered or redone, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. But indeed, thank you very much for watching, with a special thank you to all my channel members, especially Ark, Solar, W Haste, Seleman, Star72, Lord Zendika, Nick Fassbender, Nanhatan, Nick Huss, The Awesome Rabbit, Bestro Gaming, Grabmel Flavia, Conno, Andrew Zalberg, Deki, Sov, Mobkiller, Anthony35, AC Napo, Glorious Leader, Zerkis, Mr. Coomshock, Yukata, Danray, Private Claw, Jack, and Marvy.